After a 5-hour fishing expedition, 45-year-old Efo Stephen harvested only 2 medium and 4 small-sized pieces of tilapia. Even before getting the handful of fish, he spent close to half an hour meticulously sorting out aquatic weeds made up of water hyacinth and ceratophyllum that had formed a mat on the surface of the Volta Lake.
Water hyacinth is a plant that grows floating on the water. They float because their leaves are so feathery. The stems or the stalk are so bulbous, and then they contain a lot of air and water. So they normally do not sink. They float on the surface of the water. And 2 plants of water hyacinth, in a matter of 12 days to 1 month, they can occupy or increase the surface area 2 times of what the area they are covering. If you want to place it in terms of acreage or hectare, about 0.41 hectares in 3 months. And what does it mean when they occupy a very large surface area? 1, they have that ability to take up huge volumes of water, because that's why they are always looking green, bulbous and fresh. Then secondly, because they form this thick mat over the water surface, they deprive all other organisms that are living under the water of sunlight. So eventually all those other organisms, they die. So biodiversity decreases.
He recalls that when the plant came into the country through a vessel in Tema, some people potted it and even sold it as an ornamental plant unknowingly.
Water hyacinth were first detected in Ghana in 1984 in Tema. So it is suspected that maybe the ships that have been floating on the high seas, etc., might have brought them from their points of origin, that's South America, etc., to Ghana. Then they gathered somewhere they were growing, and people saw that, oh, they always look green, they don't get dry, look fresh. And then when the flowers come, purple, highly scented, nice. So people started potting them and selling. They didn't know that they were eating water. They thought they were just beautiful, rare plants that have suddenly appeared in Tema. So by 1996, we found them in Odo. We found them in Odo River. And you know the way Odo is, it is always there. But when it rains, there's a flow. During the course of the movement, then Odo too will spread to other places, etc.
Relying on fishing as a source of livelihood is scary and unsustainable.
Utu dona dono timi ko ase nti nam no be fa ase na dona ewo abonti na no wosu basa won timi nya hwe uko nsusu awon nya hwe uma no banyina unya nam bia eton fasika ne hwe won.
His situation is a representation of the stark reality many fishermen face, especially those on the Volta Lake in the eastern region and Jawe Wharf in the Jumoro municipality of the western region.
Say galamse funo bae na be kan inwira no hono na eche say akaya too late nti ye hwe enye yi ti ade na woka wonya bi obetumi akwa island na hono chese bia wokọ oduwa side wokọ so ne say nyame anyi wadom ne yachiwa wan hwe bia ye beku ye nkun so ye beje wo shama no net no ewia ne eja wokọ asabra na nti say Ghana nso ndi ande asai kura nti ye hwe enye yi eye me yapa because essence we ya na menye bi ele hwe me nkoda ne ebusuafo na ade nti se ebe na se bia nso na se ne menye adwuma bi anya ha me because e bia makwa akoto mensa ne bia ebe gu ma hankap ne yade mbekọ e bia na sabla no amfata me nso na me oho na ade yi nti atete na me dia akwa kofa nti e bia enkinya aban nimpa bi krampo no oba ne nkobobo yen fancy be a different be say yena yensua enkepe.
This has pushed some to lay down their tools. Those who have braved the odds, like the chairman of the Fishermen Association, Shelter Totime, say they are finally considering retiring due to the recurrent infestation and failed weeds control. Fond memories of the days when fishing was a lucrative venture is still fresh on the mind of the man with 20 years experience in the industry.
First thing I need to say, Nanso,
the chairman indicates that periodically the fishermen organize communal labor to clear the aquatic weeds to complement efforts of the Volta River Authority VRA. However, the weeds multiply a few days after. Leader of the fishmongers group, Florence Ayiku, says their business is on the verge of collapse.
First, and I'm a hobby free. We have to be about to ye customer for no mudi be breya. They yesu ye to na so sesidi and una no abeji nso no abosunti. Omuntanya ta baby aye benya nso kura ye di be sa e di aye ade kura mpo a ye nya.
A visit to the second hotspot of the invasive weeds showed similar, as many fishermen had abandoned their occupation and migrated in search of work. Boat owners have also been forced to halt their transport business.
And yes, a free and a bapadia, and they mesh money to me. And say, about local machine. Say, Locuna said, if you know because you are only to Pano. That's a machine your quarter. You have something like emperor. That's in and it's a banner sadia into me. At
the One Water Head Pond of the VRA, manager of public health of the authority, Dr. Michael Dade, told the GNA that the extent of the aquatic weeds invasion on the lake can be likened to 100 times the size of the Accra Sports Stadium.
A football field is about 1 hectare, and so we should be getting to over 100 football fields. Yes, very massive invasion.
He states that often when the weeds break off and get into the turbines, they get entangled, disrupting operations.
First and foremost, we have this reservoir to hold water for power generation. Due to the weeds, there's enhanced sedimentation of the reservoir, particularly where the water is shallow. Over a period of time, because of the sediment buildup, you have a transition of water to a wetland. And by so doing, we have a reduction in the holding capacity of the reservoir. Secondly, the reservoir loses water by evaporation, while the presence of water hyacinth doubles the rate of water loss. In the year 2014, we conducted a research, and that was the outcome of the research, that where we have water hyacinth in the Head Pond, the rate of water loss was twice that of the open surface. So water loss is critical to us because we need water for power generation. The third is the disruption of our operations at the pond generation plant. Quite often, the weeds break off and migrate to the turbines, and they get into the turbines, entangling the turbines and thereby disrupting power generation. When this happens, the efficiency of the turbines is reduced. And then where it gets to west, or the case is western, the units had to be shut down. And this results in revenue lost. A study conducted in 2019 over a period of 5 days, just only 5 days, indicated that VRA lost close to 720,000 Ghana cedis due to the downtown.
The authority over the years have worked with the Environmental Protection Agency (EPA), Maritime Authority, and other actors to adopt an integrated approach towards managing the weeds, but it has not been successful.
EPA as an institution, we have a steering committee who are made up of these respective institutions. Key among them is the Plant Protection and Regulatory Service. We have EPA, we have Maritime Authority, we have Water River Authority, and Irrigation Development Authority, Veterinary Services Department. And these institutions will regularly meet to discuss the progress of work that we are doing in our respective fields to control these invasive species. From 2018 to 2020, we spearheaded the development of an invasive species strategy and action plan. And in the action plan, we had a lot of actions that institutions that are supposed to work on. And these institutions, they are implementing the activities that they are supposed to undertake. Though these institutions are doing their bit, I think we need more push from government, because now what is happening is that we don't have any projects running that will really put in a lot of money to be able to implement the activities that we want to implement to control these invasive species. We use our IGF or government subvention to do it, and it's at a slow pace.
It appears successive governments have not been able to find a way to reduce the impact of water hyacinth and other related aquatic weeds and the invasive species assigned under the Sustainable Development Goals. Until an urgent and drastic step is taken, these highly invasive species will keep robbing people of their livelihood. And for Ghana, her iconic hydro dam, which is a major energy baseload built by its first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, may be shut down.
I'm sure you have heard about the Dead Sea in Israel. Dead Sea, not because it doesn't flow, but because life in there has come to an end. So we hope we do not get to that point. Because if they are taking all these dissolved oxygen from the water bodies, and they are preventing them, other plants and organisms, from living, gradually life is going to get out of those water bodies. But we are lucky once in a while it rains, so there is this recirculation, etc. But if we don't do anything about them, eventually I hope we are going to have small puddles and corners of dead water bodies. And electricity production, water tourism, etc., they are all going to run to a halt.